Trader killed, many abducted as terrorists invade market in Niger community. Adamawa State House of Assembly introduces mandatory drug test for students and political office seekers. Lagos BRT driver remanded in custody for 30 days. And on the foreign scene, Russia expands its offensive to western Ukraine as Mariupol siege. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. At least one trader has been reportedly killed and an unspecified number kidnapped when terrorists invaded a rural market in Chibani, a community in Munya local government area of Niger State on Friday afternoon. The terrorists also reportedly invaded the Muraban Daudu community, also in the same local government, and kidnapped residents. Daily Trust reports that the terrorists carted away food items after the traders fled. Meanwhile, Police Public Relations Officer in Niger State, DSP Wasiu Abiodun, is yet to respond as at the time of filing this report. In the last few days, terrorists had resorted to burgling shops and stealing foodstuff from rural communities in the state. Still on security, bandits abduct at least 24 people, carting away unspecified number of cattle at Tudung Amada village in Giwa local government area Thursday evening. The armed men invaded the area while residents were observing evening prayers in a mosque. They have been attempting to attack the village, but resistance from members of vigilante group in the area scuttled their plans. An eyewitness account indicates the bandits surrounded the mosque before abducting 14 people. The gunmen reportedly divided themselves, operating at the mosque, moving house to house, abducting women and animals. Reports, however, indicate that 4 people have regained freedom when they ran away from their captors. When contacted, Kaduna State Police Command Public Relations Officer Mohammed Jalige could not confirm the incident. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have intercepted 3 million capsules of opioids at Jeliet Bonded Container Terminal on the Tinkan Seaport in Apapa area of Lagos. In a statement issued by Director, Media and Advocacy of the agency, Femi Babafemi, the seizure of 3 million capsules of tapentadol and carisoprodol weighing 1,500 kilograms on Monday, 7th March 2022, followed a similar operation in which anti-narcotic officers of the agency also intercepted 8,613 kilograms of loud cannabis smuggled from Ghana through the waterways of the Eco-Atlantic Beach in Victoria Island, Lagos. According to Babafemi, the seized drugs at the Bonded terminal were discovered during a joint examination of a 20-feet container with men of the Nigerian Customs Service. He added that though the consignment was said to have originated from Ningbo province in China and falsely labeled as containing 271 packages of insulating fittings, faucet, water closet, and industrial office printing machine, investigations revealed that information on the bill of lading and shipping documents were fake. Some drivers and their assistants who were on ground to load the shipment into their vehicles were promptly arrested, while 2 trucks, a Sienna Space bus, Peugeot Boxer bus, and a Toyota Camry car were seized from them. Adamawa State House of Assembly is considering a piece of legislation that will subject all job seekers, applicants for political appointment, and students seeking admission into tertiary institutions of learning in the state to undergo mandatory drug test. Deputy Speaker of State Assembly, Mokondo Pomweneko, at opening of the public hearing on the draft legislation, said the imperative of controlling the adverse effects of drugs and other illicit substances abuse on the society informed the consideration for legislative backing to strengthen the fight against drug abuse. The report.
Gathered here at this committee room in the Adamawa State House of Assembly complex are persons and agents of the state in the front lines of the anti-drug campaign to consider a piece of legislation some of those present here say is the game changer in the anti-drug war. This draft bill for a law to provide for mandatory drug and other illicit substance testing for applicants for appointment, employment, and admission into state public and educational institutions, and to provide for other matters incidental thereto at its formative stages, will make it mandatory for drug tests to be conducted for all job seekers applicants for political appointment, and students seeking admissions into any tertiary institutions of learning in Adamawa State.
The problem is not only limited to our schools. What is happening in our government institution is better imagined than real. Drugs and illicit substance abuse has become a fashion amongst public and civil servants. The bill is therefore a deliberate effort by the sponsor and the honorable members to curtail the trend by nipping the problem in bud through legislation. We acknowledge therefore the National Drugs Enforcement Agency in fight against drugs abuse, but it's our conviction that the fight is for everybody. Hence, this bill. I therefore urge you to be frank, meticulous, and free in your submissions.
Drugs and some illicit drugs is a problem to our own community, our society in general. So we believe maybe by enacting this law, we'll reduce some crime in our society. Robbery, kidnapping, roaming about, school dropout and all that thing. It will reduce to our own understanding. Because once you have this, we have this law, one, before you be employed, you must be tested. If you are sure you are a student, you are schooling, you'll be afraid to take drugs because you know once you finish this school, you need employment. If you want to be employed, if they tested you positive, maybe you cannot get it.
An abuse of drugs, I think, is the major problem in the whole world now, not even Nigeria or Adamawa, the whole world as a whole. And the control of drugs is paramount. It's very important because there is a saying that youth are the leaders tomorrow. But with this development of drug abuse, the chances of them to be leaders tomorrow is blinking.
A Yaba Chief Magistrate's Court on Friday remanded a BRT driver, Andrew Nice, for 30 days over his alleged involvement in the death of his passenger, Oluwabamiche Ayonwole. The court made the order following an application by the police. Police counsel Yetunde Cardoso filed the application based on a 4-count charge of alleged murder, sexual assault, misconduct, and interference with a corpse. Monday, Bamiche, 22, was found dead on Kata Bridge, Lagos Island, 9 days after being declared missing after she boarded the BRT bus.
The 6th of March, like I said earlier, we got the message on Sunday. A family meeting was going on when we got the message, so we had to rush down to Ibuturu, like I said earlier, to do a confirmation. And on getting there, we were told that she was dropped by the bridge. We call it Ogogoro community. That was where she was dropped. And according to what we had, we were told that she was dropped on the 26th. And the police found out around past 10 p.m. But the body was conveyed to the morgue on the 27th.
Rejection of gender bills by the National Assembly continues to generate debate on women's political participation in Nigeria. Currently, only 7 out of 109 senators and 22 of the 360 House of Representatives members are women. In an interview, a member representing Damaturu, Gujba, Gulani and Taramuwa Federal Constituency of Yobe State, Khadija Ibrahim, is advocating for measures to boost women's representation in Parliament.
This has been the case since constitutional amendments started at the inception of democracy. Any clause that comes in for women has been quashed by the majority of men in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. Now, we need more sensitization on this issue. We need more people to come in and vocally speak on our behalf. Not including just women, but men, he for she, men that consider women as equally important as men and also who have confidence in women.
Since the inception of democracy, Nigeria has been recording low participation of women in both elective and appointive positions. This is a growing concern to many, especially the women folk. In the National Assembly, women constitute 5.6% of members of the House of Representatives and 6.5% of the senators. Representative Khadija explains the lack of representation, why it matters, and how to remedy it.
Where I come from, in the Northeast, where a woman should be seen, not heard, but unfortunately for us, we're progressing, and we have the support of some of our male folk who are eager to see that our political career is sustained regardless, because of the relationship we have with the people from the grassroots, because we have their very interest at heart, always, offering ourselves for assistance or for guidance, and being the voice of the voiceless and the hope of the common man.
Since 2006, Nigeria's national gender policy highlights women's right to equality in economic, social and political life, with provisions to increase women in elected and appointed positions to 35%, but that hasn't happened. The three-time member of the House of Representatives believes that being a woman in political authority entails working at the grassroots as partners in progress.
We have to be our brother's keepers. We need to stand up for women folk other than ourselves. We need to disregard any pull-me-down syndromes as far as gender is concerned, especially when a woman and woman are concerned. Some women I find that I've spoken to are more comfortable being around men environment than they are with the women. But why is that? Because they haven't fared well with their women folk. So we need to repair our own house before we get the respect we need from the men.
While encouraging women in politics not to give up in their political ambitions, the lawmaker is hopeful that not just Parliament, but all levels of government need to adopt affirmative action, measures, and amend the internal rules to give preference to women in governance.
There are a lot of challenges involved. Of course, the people are the major factor because they choose their candidates, and a lot of things come up against you when you're vying for a political position. Like where I am in the north, culturally, women should be seen, not heard. Religiously, women should be seen, not heard. But it has changed. We have seen Benazir Bhutto do it in Pakistan. It's a predominantly Muslim, Islamic country, but she was able to, come to the leadership position. But unfortunately, it was short-lived. But at least she proved her point, And coming back, to Nigeria, we have people like the likes of Hirat Godabi, who also, was from a Muslim background, but she also contested and won her election, But so basically, what I'm trying to say is that I think that if there's the will, there's the way.
She advised relevant stakeholders to advocate for the protection of women from abuse, empower them economically and politically, and also review the necessary legislations to accommodate the growing interest of women in politics, both elective and appointive positions. A group of local government and primary school retirees in Delta State staged a protesting, demanding payment of their retirement benefits. Speaking to newsmen in Asaba, the protesters said their terminal benefits accrued since 2014 has not been paid till date. The report.
Their demands are that the monthly allocation to the Bureau of Local Government be increased from 300 million naira to 2 billion naira, declare a state of emergency on pension payment for local government and primary school retirees, among others.
We use 35 years of our youthful age to serve the government. Now after retirement, they just dump us as if we were dismissed from the work. We are retired 2017. Today I came here, I slum here. For you to believe that I slum, look at my knees.
Please, excuse me.
Are you seeing?
I want to
because of the tension I have been going through. So you people to help us people to cover, to pay us.
As I'm talking to you, 63 of the retirees has died in Warri South. Yesterday, one died again. So I want you to understand the pain the retirees are going through. Most cannot pay their house rent. some cannot feed, many cannot buy their medications. So we are coming here. This is the 4th time we are coming to negotiate with the governor of Delta State.
How many years would they use to pay the backlogs of arrears of pension? No pension, no gratuity, nothing at all. Since 8 years.
In a swift response, the secretary to the Delta State government, Patrick Uka, said although the issue should have been handled by the Joint Allocation Committee, the state government is committed to resolving the issue that has lingered from previous administration.
Those who came out this afternoon to present to vet their anger for retiree benefits are basically those of the local government and primary school teachers. And this is purely the issue that is within the purview of the JAC, which is the Joint Local Government Committee, where they discuss their share of the FAC. And His Excellency has promised that he will speak with them and see how they can make efforts to increase it.
You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. Bread and noodles may be out of reach. Stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. You're still watching Trust News Update. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. You heard that at least one trader has been reportedly killed and an unspecified number kidnapped when terrorists invaded a rural market in Niger. You also heard that Adamawa State House of Assembly is considering a piece of legislation that will subject all job seekers, applicants for political appointment, and students seeking admission into tertiary institutions in the state to undergo mandatory drug tests. People living with disabilities, extremely poor families, other vulnerable groups, as well as women and children will soon have a cause to smile in Katsina State. This is if the state development plan is implemented to guide political actors to improve the quality of lives of the ordinary people of the state. Abdullah Yemadi completes the report.
The state development plan, which is a process that kick-started since 2020, is at its final stage of completion with the review and validation of the document this Thursday in Katsina. Similarly, the plan will, among other things, address the issue of exclusion in governance and other economic and social sectors to provide equal opportunities for people living with disabilities, remove the economic barriers existing between the rich and the poor, and address inequality. And the plan will definitely go a long way in ensuring sustainable development in the state. Particularly, it's trying to look at 4 critical areas of the state, which is looking at the governance structures, looking at human development, looking at environmental development, and of course human capital development. I think I've mentioned that. So we hope at the end of the day this plan will serve the people of Katsina. It will help the state to think around deep potentials that they have. Other issues the development plan intends to achieve is to reduce maternal mortality, effect of child killer diseases, mitigate climate change, water supply, and other critical sectors of human endeavor. This plan is going to go deep to look at those people that are extremely poor and vulnerable, and particularly women and children. So the plan is designed in a way to look at whether the exclusion issues in the state, why do we have some of the poverty issues, why are women excluded in certain areas, even in governance. So it has a very deep understanding of different issues. The document is also expected to be a human rights-based, risk-informed development plan consistent with the Economic Recovery Growth Vision 2030. According to some critical stakeholders, the plan will ensure coherent design of public policy and implementation for equitable socio-economic and sustainable development.
Katsina State, which has a population of 10 million people in 2020, mostly in rural areas, are expected to be captured in all the economic plans and future budgets by activating health services, the economy, and social protection sectors.
Local governments in every sector have a vital role to play. They are very strategic because virtually all the population of not only Katsina State but of Nigeria resides in one local government or the other, and so their position is very vital and very key. Looking at the content of the development plan, one will see that this is going to be a major overhaul of the socio-economic well-being of the people of Katsina State.
When fully implemented, the state development plan will also check the rural-urban drift and the issue bordering on almajiris as well as street begging, among others.
I wish to assure the teeming good people of Katsina State that this development plan is going to be of immense importance to them, because it is primarily designed to cater for the well-being of the less privileged and the vulnerable people of the society.
It could be recalled that Katsina State government, with the support of UNICEF, launched the process, inaugurated a steering committee and technical working group for the production of the state development plan document in December 2020. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
In business, the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war in faraway Europe is taking its toll on non-combatants in Gombe State, as people now pay more for bread and noodles common on family menus. Russia and Ukraine account for 25% of wheat production globally. Bakers say disruption in supply of wheat is responsible for hiking prices. The report.
Bread is one of the most consumed food in Nigeria, and one of its ingredients is flour, which is being produced from wheat. Bakers said they are now battling hiking prices of flour, which is affecting their businesses. With the current crisis between Russia and Ukraine, analysts predicted more increase in prices of bread and noodles. Bread bakers are likely to pay more for raw materials.
And the price of flour has increased, let's say, at least with 2 to 5%. As we used to buy it before, and the price of sugar also increased with 2 to 3% as the price we used to buy the sugar before, and also the rest of the commodity, they have changed their prices, but yet now we are not changing we did not change our price for that we used to sell our bread.
Tea and bread vendors, popularly known as Meshayi, are now paying more for bread and noodles. Some of them said a bread costing 300 naira before now sells 400 naira. We used to buy a sachet of noodles at 100 naira and sell 120, but now we buy it at 120 and sell 170 naira. They normally supply bread costing 200 naira, and now they supply those costing 150 and that of 300 naira. The difference in price has affected our business. We aren't making profit like before. A consumer also shared his experience. Bread is expensive, and it is not from the vendors. It is the hike in price of flour. A bread that cost 100 naira before is now 200, and that of 200 is now 350 naira. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, Russia and Ukraine account for 23% of the global wheat market, worth 206.9 million metric tons in 2021.
And when the price of flour in market change, we must increase our prices of bread, due to the fact that when we buy flour, now we are using Mama Gold in our production. Before we are buying Mama Gold as 21,000, and now we are buying Mama Gold as 22,500 naira. But when the crisis continue, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, but Mama Gold flour will reach at least not less than 23,000. And all the rest of the floor, like IRS, we used to buy IRS at the rate of 20,000, 19,500 naira, 20,000. But now we used to buy IRS at the rate of 21,500 naira.
Prices of noodles, spaghetti and bread are expected to record increase as the war between Ukraine and Russia continues. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
And finally, on the foreign scene, a judge in El Salvador on Friday ordered the arrest of former President Alfredo Cristiani for alleged links to the murder of 6 Jesuit priests and 2 co-workers by the army during the country's civil war. Prosecutors said the judge ordered Cristiani, who is outside the country, former lawmaker Rodolfo Parker, and 4 colonels to be put under provisional detention. The former president, whose whereabouts are unknown, denied the charges and attacked Attorney General Rodolfo Delgado in a statement. On November 16, 1989, Salvadorian troops from the now banned Atlactel battalion shot dead the Jesuits, 5 of them Spanish, at the Central American University in San Salvador. They also killed a woman who worked as their housekeeper and her 16-year-old daughter. On February 25th, prosecutors filed charges against Cristiani, who was president between 1989 to 1994, and a group of soldiers for alleged involvement in the murder. We've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.